Good day, good people. This is Phil, and in this PHP tutorial we are going to talk about type hinting. I'm glad that you came. Let's talk about it, and I show you first of all a definition of the word hint, because like me, some of you may not be native English speakers, and this might be helpful. A hint, well, it's a noun of course, and it is a slight or indirect indication or suggestion. Okay, and synonyms for this might be a clue, a suggestion, an indication. That's all there is. Okay, so what is a type hint? With type hinting, we can specify the expected data type, like arrays, objects, interfaces, for an argument in a function declaration. You'll see in a minute what this means. There are different type hints. There are primitive type hints. That's not the official term, but that's how you can call them, like the regular type hints and the object type hints. Let's go ahead and see what this means in practice. Well, with type hinting, you can specify the expected data type. So, for example, let's say we have a function or a whole class. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a class car. Now here in the parentheses we need to put the word string before the variable that is to be taken, and in this case the model will be taken as a variable and has to be a string, and this is how you would do it. And all this variable all this function does is it sets the model equal to the passed in string. And here we go. Okay, that's all there is. So we have a class car, we have 4 properties, and we have 4 methods, and each of these methods just takes a specific type of argument. Now let's go ahead and see what this does. We create a new car. Okay, and now let's go ahead and call the first function. The first function or method is the set model, which expects a string. So we go ahead and point to it, set model, and now we will pass a string. Here we go, refresh, no errors being thrown. So let's echo out our new Dodge and see what this does. Okay, so we have a car object. That what Dodge is, it's an object of the class car, and the model is string. Okay, now let's pass in something that is not a string. That is certainly not a string. Let's go ahead and create a little array just with 1 and 2 and 3. So 3 variables in an array, and then refresh, and then we get the fatal error, which tells us argument 1 passed to car must be of the type string, but an array was given. And it's impossible for PHP to coerce the array 1, 2, 3 into a string, and this is why type hinting doesn't always perfectly work in PHP, because now that I pass an array, it throws an error, but I could just go ahead and pass the number 2. I wouldn't get an error, it would just work, even though number 2 is not a string. Okay, but since number 2 can be coerced to a string just like that, it works, you see it. So this doesn't throw an error. So if you want to do type hinting, be aware of that that coercion or type juggling that PHP does, and well, this is important for debugging. Okay, let's try the second one, the Boolean. So has sunroof is this method here, which only takes a Boolean value. So let's leave the string 2 in it, and this works. Now, why? Because the string 2 is true, and true gets coerced to 1. So here again, do we have the problem with coercion? Okay, If you put 0 in it, then obviously you don't have anything, because it's false. And again, just to be sure this works, let's put in the array again, and then we got our error that you cannot pass array because it expects a Boolean, okay? But still, you can put in pretty much anything and it would still work because of coercion, so be aware of that. Now let's go ahead with the integer. So we will set the door number over here, and with an int it's a little more easy because we can just put in a float and it will still be coerced because it will just cut off the number behind the comma. Okay, now here again we have coercion, so if you put that into a string, same thing here, it gets coerced and the point 2 gets cut off. So well, yeah, it's not the best behavior, I think. But just if you pass in an array, it will still throw an error though. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is the object type int, because sometimes you might want to have an object to be put in a function, okay? This here needs not to be a string, but it needs to be an object of the class supercar, okay? So this needs to be of the class supercar. Here, let's create the class supercar and just not put anything in it. Now, we make Dodge a new supercar. Let's just check out whether that worked. Yeah, so Dodge is a supercar object now. And now we create a new car and we pass in our supercar. And this is what this does, okay? So let's go ahead and tell car1 is a new car, and this passes the Dodge. All right. Oh, okay. Sorry. This should be a constructor now. So like this, we can see immediately if it works. Okay. So we have the supercar, the constructor, which takes a supercar model and still works. Okay. No error is thrown. Okay, I hope you understood it here what happens. We created a new car and passed to the constructor function a supercar object. Now let's go ahead and pass anything like a number 2 and then we get no error. Okay, that's bad because it can only get driver objects. What happened here? Public function. Maybe I should write constructor. And then we get the error. Alrighty. The argument 1 passed to car construct must be an instance of supercar, but an integer is given. And if I go ahead here and pass the Dodge again, then there is no error. Alrighty, because the only thing that this constructor here, remember, a constructor is a function or a method gets called immediately when an instance of this class is being made. In this case, car1 is the object that is being made, so immediately the constructor gets called and the variable, or in this case the object Dodge, gets passed to it, which means that it only takes a model of the class supercar. So it has to be an object here. That's all there is, guys. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next tutorial.